Where are we going? Senegal!
When I found out that we have an opportunity to submit a proposal, I just wanted innovation students to discover Senegal, to discover Africa.
When I heard about this trip, I was very excited because we had a Senegalese staff member going.
I am referred as an African, but I'm also a Senegalese.
And just the fact that to be able to take a trip like this with somebody who's from there is a game changer completely.
There is nothing like engaging as many of your senses into a learning experience as possible. That's something that every teacher knows. So
by visiting Gorée Island, they get to see a first account of a slave house. They discovered prior to going to Senegal that you can fit the whole of Europe, the whole of the United States, the whole of China, the whole of India in Africa.
To learn about Africa and to be in Africa is two very different things.
1, 2, 3.
On the first day, I think even as we pull in on the plane, you could hear the oohs and ahs from the seats around us of the students as they were able to see all these buildings, and they look completely different. The landscape is different. What you're hearing is the reaction to seeing a third world country for the first time.
No one in my family has ever been to Africa, so I was the first one. I wanted to see, I wanted to explore, I wanted to, just live something different.
I feel like because I'm African and I have an African background, I feel like I should learn more about my history.
And more importantly, they got to also experience a culture that is a culture that promotes a sense of welcoming, a sense of hospitality.
What was the best part?
Everything. The food. The rice, the food, chicken, everything.
They had one big dish where everyone sat around and ate from.
We all sit next to each other and we don't use forks. You have to wash your hands, then use them to eat.
I enjoyed it actually. It felt more like, we're all sharing this meal.
I think it's really important for our students to go there, for them to, even if we didn't have a curriculum planned out, for them to just go through their day-to-day experiences and for them to see a very shining metropolis, modern type setting like Dakar, and to contrast it with a very traditional village-like setting.
We went to this fishing village and we shared a lot of moments with these kids that were awesome. We had fun with them. Even though they didn't know the language that we spoke and all the stuff, they connect to us.
To see all of that happening at the same time, for them to see those things for themselves was a really big awakening for them, and understanding that the world is a lot bigger and a lot more complex than their very, very local experiences.
This trip got them to really see a difference in the education here in comparison to the education there.
One thing that I know caught their attention was when we visited the primary school I went. It really struck them.
They started looking at the conditions of the public schools, and there's these really poor conditions.
Some of them don't even have shoes. They don't have a pencil to write.
Nothing of the kind of electronic and digital equipment that they're used to in like a lot of modern day American schools.
We went to a classroom for second grade and they were teaching them algebra, things that we don't do here. They were teaching you the geometry and all that stuff. But they told us that only the pretty smart kids make it to the top to have a profession.
And two things that I learned is, one thing is not to take anything for granted over there, because the kids over there were really living in poverty.
There's different level of poverty. There's poverty in the U.S. There's poverty in East Harlem, which is where most of these kids come from. But it's a different poverty that they saw. So I guess that really gave them a better appreciation of the opportunities that are present here in this country.
And another thing was just to be thankful for everything we have.
They also get to learn about Islam in Senegal.
There was a lot of Islamic customs and cultures that they experienced in Senegal that is experienced nowhere else in the world.
This is a coin in frame. And here, that's not record, that's really life.
Visited Touba, which is a holy city.
We had to take off our shoes, and it was like, it was respect.
One of the young ladies, she took off, her coverings, and she went out to buy some chips, and they wouldn't let her in the store because she wasn't fully clothed.
The females, they had to cover up everything. They had to wear scarves and stuff. They can't show their arms or their legs.
Zedekiah, who has hair, wasn't allowed to go into the mosque without covering his hair because they viewed it as feminine. But they were able to understand, and we were able to use that as a teachable moment to really have them embrace the culture and the traditions and what is acceptable here and what may not be so acceptable there.
Our days and our nights were very long. We were up at sometimes 6 in the morning and wouldn't get back till 11 p.m., sometimes midnight. And the students were tired, but they were so stimulated they didn't want to stop being engaged. We walked down this beautiful beach with this little cove on the side that has dozens of children jumping in the water and playing, and we come to this pier of rocks. And we came in with the drum instructors, and the students were able to sit there and learn from people that don't speak your language.
So you guys gotta follow him, okay?
It was challenging, and just like learning a new language is challenging.
That outlined how life is. We all have our own drums.
We're not just playing a beat. We're playing rhythms that have been developed over hundreds of years that had historical meanings in the Africas and the Americas. And so just to be part of this cultural experience that's been going on for hundreds of years was amazing for everybody involved.
You know, we just provided the setting and provided the ingredients, and they
took it and ran.
I'm like forever grateful. I'm always gonna remember this trip. You know, it's helping me grow as a person. It was magical. It was unforgettable. I want to go back already. Just thank you for the opportunity. I hope it continues.